Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I am a forest gardener and a forest garden designer, and I am just doing a quick little live stream. I saw Gardener's World, Friday's broadcast. It's a gardening program here in the UK, and it was all about trees, which is great, really, really fantastic. And they had a chap called Tony Kirkham, who's a tree expert. He's head of trees at Kew Gardens. And I just wanted to play a clip of what he said. So first of all, he talks about oak trees, which support a vast range of wildlife. So this is what he says. hopefully this will play for you.
Our native oak plays host to something like 2,300 species alone, and of those 2,300, over 320 to be precise, are what we call obligate species, so they will only live on the oak.
And so, yeah, he's talking about the oak tree, and he says, I'm not sure if the sound came out on that actually, but we'll find out. He's basically saying oak tree will support 2,300 species, and that's everything. That's lichen, insects, birds, mammals, all that's everything altogether. And of those, 320 are obligate species, which means they're species that can only exist on oak trees. Then, when he's what's his face? When he's asked about planting native trees in the garden because they support more wildlife, he then says, well, you should choose for diversity. So he says this.
In terms of wildlife, there's a general perception that native trees are better.
I think we should be planting more diversity, different species. I mean, look at this tree. This is from China. It lives up to its name. It's Sorbus splendens. All these berries will be eaten by birds, so even exotic trees are good for bird species.
Okay, I think that's ended. So he's saying, so then he says, yeah, so buy a Chinese sorbus because the berries will feed the birds. And I really don't get it. I don't really understand. And I know he's a tree person rather than an ecologist. But if we go over and have a look at the database of insects and their food plants, which is available online, it's a biological record centre service. This is this is just look that use oak as a food plant. I think there's 350 recorded relationships there. And you look at the Sorbus splendens, which is like is a Chinese sorbus, and it grows to about 10 meters and has a lot of berries. But why, in that situation, why aren't you saying grow a native sorbus? For example, Sorbus aucuparia, the rowan tree. Because the rowan tree, it's a native and it supports about 120, this is just insects that use it as a food plant, it supports about 120 different species rather than, and I don't know how many insects will use the Chinese sorbus as a food plant, but it will be less. I can not guarantee it, but I would imagine that it's less. So it's a bit of a grey area, but my go-to is to always say plant native where possible. Obviously, I plant apple trees and sweet chestnuts and pecans, and because I'm growing them as edible crops. But where you can, please consider planting native plants, because what we really want to do is support native ecosystems and make them as resilient as possible. So if you have the option, do use native plants where you can. Okay, that's it. That's my little live stream for the day. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon. Cheers, bye.